Can't wait. We're less than 30 days away from the start of the Cowboys 2013 training camp, so we're going to continue our countdown to camp with our top 5 camp battles that we're expecting to see as players jockey for position and trying to get to the top of the depth chart. This is KD Drummond, the blog and the boys. Now, one of the things that I was going to start with, my number 5 was actually going to be talking about the race for the next contract. But the news of the day is that Anthony Spencer and the Cowboys will not come to an agreement this offseason for a longer-term contract. He's playing under the franchise tag for $10.6 million. So today they said that they're not going to continue to work. They're a little bit too far apart. Spencer wants $8 million. The Cowboys only want to give him $5 million per year. So they're going to go ahead and knock that off. July 15th deadline for any player that has a franchise tag on him to come to an agreement with his club. So it looks like Anthony Spencer is going to be playing on another one-year deal. Say what you want. A lot of people have different opinions on each side of the table. I would like to see them work out a deal for maybe 3 years, something with a low signing bonus that would allow them to maybe cut him after 2 years if, he starts to show his age or something of that sort. But regardless, that opens up a spot to bring in our number 5 camp battle, and that's going to be for the position of backup running back. Everybody knows that when healthy, DeMarco Murray, he's entrenched as a number 1 player. The Cowboys went out and they drafted Joseph Randle out of Oklahoma State in the 5th round. He's a DeMarco Murray clone as far as his style, one-cut runner, doesn't have a lot of top-end speed. In fact, I probably think that DeMarco's a little bit faster than Joseph Randle is, but he does have that maneuverability, and he's going to get to the hole. He's going to hit it. He's a north-south runner, so I kind of like what Randle brings to the table. He's going to be competing against probably Philip Tanner, who showed up for the all-season workouts in tremendous shape. They said he was catching everything out of the backfield, really improved his worth from where they considered him to be last season. And then the 4th guy in the mix is going to be Lance Dunbar, an undrafted free agent from last year that has really has a change of pace factor that the Cowboys have been missing since Felix Jones started to pile up the injuries. He's a very quick guy, so I don't think he has any problem making the team. I think he'll be the choice above Kendall Lawrence, who is an undrafted free agent from this year. But the thing that the Cowboys are missing in this mix is probably that goal line thumper back. So hopefully the O-line has improved enough that, Murray and Randle can get those goal line carries and punch it across. Cowboys have had goal line issues for years, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out for the season. Number 4 on the list is going to be the wide receiver depth chart. Now, obviously, Dez is entrenched as number 1, Miles is number 2, but behind that, you have guys that I think are going to bring a lot to the table and hopefully, potentially, give Dallas a type of weapon group that can rival a team like Green Bay and New Orleans. You have Dwayne Harris, who really came on the end of the last year. He actually had the highest yard per target average of any Cowboy outside of Dez Bryant. He was a little bit over 8 yards. The new receiver drafted in the 3rd round, Terrence Williams out of Baylor. He set all kinds of, marks last year in the NCAA, leading all of college in receptions and yards, I believe. And then you also have the ultimate slot receiver in Cole Beasley, who is just shifty, and he's very hard to get a grip on when you have that little extra 2 or 3 yard cushion and coming out of the slot. So it'll be very interesting to see how the Cowboys depth chart shakes out once training camp comes to a conclusion. Hopefully, knock on wood, everybody stays healthy. So I think right now that because of the draft pedigree, Terrence Williams probably has the inside track on the number 3 position. I would not be surprised to see Dwayne Harris make the leap. I loved what I saw out of him last year, his rookie year in preseason. He didn't get much run in his rookie year. Last year he came on. He's the kind of guy that once you get the ball in his hands, he's just dynamic. He's shifty. He can get down the field in a hurry. He's a great downfield blocker, as you probably remember from that Thanksgiving Day touchdown from Romo to Dez Bryant. That's Dwayne Harris blocking downfield, springing him for that big 80-yard touchdown. So he does a lot of stuff that you can really appreciate. And if Terrence Williams has any kind of hiccups in, making that transition to the professional level, it's not an easy thing to do. I know we've seen a lot of these wide receivers recently, Julio Jones and A.J. Green, make that jump from the collegiate to the professional ranks with no problem. But for a third-round pick, it's really not that likely that he's going to be able to just dive in and be able to do everything on a professional level. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Dwayne Harris actually beat him out as far as being ready. But I don't know if the draft pedigree will allow that to happen. I think Jason Garrett is very good at pretty much playing who's better. Well, let me take that back, because we do have some issues with him waiting a little bit long to get rookies into the mix when they're capable. So, like I said, it'll be an interesting theme of this year's camp of who gets in there. And then, like I said, Cole Beasley, he's a slot receiver only. He's not going to be able to play on the outside, but I think he does, I will admit it now, I think he does add an extra dimension to this team. If Miles Austin ever goes down, you'll see Cole Beasley get a lot of run in the slot, as Harris and Williams will stay on the outside. That brings us to number 3 on the list. The battle for the Sam linebacker. I think right now, obviously, the guy that they brought in, he didn't practice much in the OTAs and stuff because he was nursing an injury. But Justin Durant has to have the inside track, because myself personally, I just don't have a lot of faith in the guys he's competing against. Alex Albright is kind of a Swiss Army knife of a player. He can play multiple positions. I don't know if he can play any of them well enough to be a starter. The third guy, Ernie Sims, I'm just not that enamored with. I haven't been. He was on the street as a 4-3 linebacker. We're going back to a 4-3. I know he has a draft pedigree, former first-round pick, but I just haven't seen a lot out of Ernie Sims to make me believe that he's going to be any kind of asset for this team moving forward. Some people liked what they saw out of him last year in his limited duty when he came off the street and kind of filled in for us. I wasn't that impressed. But Justin Durant, outside of stuff that's on the field, he's a very athletic guy on the field, first of all. He adds to the mix. He can go sideline to sideline. Very athletic guy that's been playing for Detroit these last few years after starting off his career in Jacksonville. But to me, Durant's personality, if you follow him on Twitter, please do so. He's a hilarious dude. But I think his personality is kind of the thing that a team needs to transform from being, good to great. If you want to say that intangible type of thing, the guy's going to keep everybody loose, a funny guy. When you have a team full of all these stars and guys that are really athletic and can do all these sorts of things, you kind of need the jokester in the group. And I think Justin Durant, I know it doesn't have much to do with actual football skill, but a lot can be said for the guy that kind of keeps the team laughing and keeps the team loose. And I think Justin Durant can be that guy if he has a starter's role for the team. So that's my pick to go ahead and take the Sam linebacker position. All right, number 2 camp battle that I'm looking forward to is the interior of the offensive line. I need to see if Ron Leary can beat out Mackenzie Bernardo or Nate Livings. I'm rooting for Ron Leary because he was a UDFA, had a lot of hype, got a big bonus last year, didn't show much, didn't make the team. He looked, rather weak, but supposedly he made a lot of progression as the year went on, so much so that the Cowboys brought him up from the practice squad to protect him from being picked up by another team towards the end of the year. So far, the reports out of the OTAs were that he looked incredible. He has a strength, and the only thing that he's missing is just that experience. I'll be interested to see if he can take that spot away from one of the guys that they brought over as free agents last year, Nate Livington or Mackenzie Bernardo. A lot of people are doing their 53-man rosters. Go to Blogging the Boys, by the way, and check out Cody Saxman's roster builder. Most fun you can have on the internet. You get to play GM, put together the team, the salaries are in there, you get to try to fit everybody under the salary cap, pick a practice squad, go do that. But anyway, a lot of people are saying that Nate Livings is going to get cut. It's not happening. His salary is guaranteed for the year, and there's no way that Dallas is going to be paying that money for a guy that's not on the team when he could be a backup at a position that obviously we need as much quality professional depth as possible. So get that out your head. Nate Livings is not getting cut. Again, guaranteed salary, just not happening. Now, what I would like to see is for Nate Livings to end up on the bench. And that would be because, obviously, the youth movement at the interior positions. By the time this video airs, Travis Frederick will most likely be signed. First-round center that was drafted. Myself personally, when he was drafted, I said that I would like to see him shift to guard because I have a lot of faith in Phil Costa. I know a lot of people don't agree with me on that. They remember the bad snaps from the first half of 2011. What they don't remember is that he did improve his play over the last half of the year. And then in the one full game that he played in 2012 against Baltimore, he completely dominated their defensive line. So I myself personally have a lot of faith in Phil Costa, or a lot of hope, I should say. It's not faith. You can't have faith off of, a couple good games and one outstanding game, but you do have hope. And I think that if he was able to play the center position, you put Frederick at right guard, you have Ron Leary at left guard, add them with Teron Smith at left tackle, who I think is going to make that third-year jump that we've seen from a lot of the recent draft picks along the offensive line at the tackle position. I think if he makes that jump and the Dallas Cowboys can finally have a young athletic line to work with and to protect Tony Romo, I think you could see the beginning of a bright future along the offensive line. We'll still have to deal with Doug Free. I think Free is a better option than Jeremy Parnell. When they were splitting duty, I think Free was the better of the two right tackles. Hopefully the salary reduction will cause him to actually get back to work on that footwork and those issues that he seemed to have over the end of last year. Now, that brings us to the number one battle that I want to see this training camp, and that's the battle for safety. We need to know if it's safe yet. Barry Church, who only played 3 games or parts of 2 games, well, a full game and parts of 2 others last season before he went out with his Achilles injury. He seems to be all the way back. He's penciled in as a starter at strong safety in the John Lynch type. The Cowboys are basically going to be holding an open audition for the free safety, the single high, over the top, keep a top on the defense safety. That's going to be between free agent Will Allen, 3rd round draft pick, our second third rounder J.J. Wilcox, as well as last year's 4th rounder Matt Johnson, who the Cowboys front office admitted that they overdrafted. I didn't even remember this until I started doing some research that Matt Johnson was actually rated as like a 6th or 7th rounder last season. The Cowboys drafted him in the 4th round. So when you look at him, he has elite measurables. He has great game tape at a smaller school. The question is, can he adapt to the pro level? We'll just have to wait and see. J.J. Wilcox, he only has 1 year of experience at the safety position. He's a former running back wide receiver from Georgia Southern, but by all accounts, he had an outstanding OTA. He always seems to be around the ball. He makes plays consistently, so it's going to be very interesting to see if somebody that athletic, and he can hit. So the Cowboys are actually in a position where they have safeties who can really lay a wallop on somebody, so that's going to be great to see. Will Allen played about 400 snaps in Pittsburgh last year as a backup in for injuries to Troy Polamalu and Ryan Clark. But before that, he'd only played like 300 snaps over the last 4 years as a backup. So he's really a backup. He's a special teams guy. He might stay on the roster if he doesn't win the starting spot strictly because of that special teams prowess that he has. Maybe even competing with Danny McCray, who's scheduled to make over $1 million just to play special teams. So I wouldn't be too disappointed if he did take his position. But regardless, I think that really for my money, the competition is going to be between Matt Johnson and J.J. Wilcox, and then we'll have to see if those young guys are actually capable of forming a professional duo with Barry Church. So it could possibly be that safety is another weak spot for the Dallas Cowboys in 2013. We keep harping on it. We keep coming back to it. We've been looking for the answer since Ken Hamlin, but honestly, since the days of Roy Williams and Darren Woodson. So we're going to keep searching for this answer. One dark horse could be Jakar Hamilton out of South Carolina State, undrafted free agent. He's actually he has big school credentials. He did go to Georgia for a year before he had to lost his starting spot with an injury, and then he transferred. So don't be surprised to see him make the 53-man roster. I wouldn't predict him as a competition for starter, but you could actually see him on the 53-man roster in 2013. So there you have it. Those are my top 5 training camp battles. Again, camp starts July 17th, or July 21st is actually when the first practice is. So be on the lookout for all of BTB's coverage. We're going to have OCC there. We're going to have Rabble Rouser there. We're going to do great stuff. Make sure you stay tuned. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, SBN Blogging the Boys, for all of our updates. Make sure you go to iTunes and subscribe to my podcast, Cowboys Crunch Time with KD. We're going to have a lot of consistent training camp reports on there, so make sure you subscribe to that now. Follow me at KDP10for10, KDP10, FOR10. And don't forget about our other channels on SB Nation, SBN NFL and SB Nation here on YouTube. Make sure you follow all of that. We'll keep you informed. Salute.